Hey, it's Doug and Heidi McGurk, and we are here with our family and war. What are we here with? I don't know.
Oh, you okay? Oh,
Roll.
let it
Okay.
roll. All right.
This is the fourth time that I've started this. People don't see the behind the scenes.
So we're just throwing the B-roll right in there.
They roll right in the video.
Now it's A-roll.
Okay. Um,
So it's family empowerment warrior.
Yeah, and I was really excited about that because it stands with the few, and this is the new episodes that we're going to be doing
Yep.
weekly together. So I'm stoked, guys. Today, we have a different F word that we're going to bring to you today. And each week, we're going to bring you another F word in our Family Empowerment Warrior series. And today, the F word is
Forgiveness.
forgiveness. It's not, maybe, I don't know what you thought it was going to be, but it's
That's
forgiveness.
a different channel.
Maybe. But today we're going to talk about why is it so freaking hard to forgive? In particular, forgiving addiction or an addict. And it's timely for us, this topic of forgiveness in relationship to addiction, because coming up very soon, we have our Freedom from Addiction family seminar. Now, listen, if you are at all curious, we're going to put the link in the show notes in the description. Click on that and see if that's the right opportunity for you, which we believe it is. So let's dive into this topic of forgiveness today when it relates to addiction. And, what are you hearing on a regular basis from the addict or alcoholic in your life around forgiveness? What do you imagine?
Well, things like, can't you just let this go? That was yesterday. That was 2 weeks ago. Drop it. Let go and let God.
Yeah,
That's a
I
pull that.
I haven't used in like 2 days. I haven't gone MIA in 2 months.
Can't
I
we just turn the page?
Yeah.
Move on.
Hey, when you bring up the past,
You make me want to use.
yeah, and then you're the reason that I'm getting all triggered up because you can't forgive me and you're an unforgiving person and you have an unforgiving heart and God wants you to forgive and Jesus would have forgiven and why can't you forgive me and I can't get better because you won't forgive me. I mean, I
Well,
could.
yeah, we could go. You could go.
What?
Would you like to go on more of a rant on that?
No.
Okay. Well, but I also want to point out what is the positive intent
Okay.
for one who is unwilling or unable to forgive.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Now,
There's a reason that you're having a challenge. So even though somebody in your life is berating you with like this forgiveness and wants it on their timeline and wants you to, get with the program, we're going to educate the whole family right now. So if whether it's you watching this, that you're a warrior yourself and you are trying to equip and empower the addict or alcoholic in your life, or you in fact are the one struggling with addiction, this is an episode on forgiveness and why it is so freaking hard. So you can share this with the person in your life or just realize yourself. There are actually three reasons we're going to go over today why it is so freaking hard to forgive, and then what you can do to start the process of healing in your family today. Okay. Number one, what is the number one reason why you can't forgive and let go of something? Why can't you let it go? Well, the number one reason is probably an obvious reason. It's still happening. Okay. Like,
well, and the fear is real.
well, we're going to talk about that. That's number two.
Oh yeah.
But number one is it's still happening. So you can't get dry under a waterfall. If you're in this situation and somebody's like, well, I haven't, that if it's intermittent, if it's like that you go months in between, like we have intermittent addiction or intermittent alcoholic, somebody who's a binger that goes in between. And so it's like they want you to forgive in that time span. But the truth is, it's only a matter of time before it happens again. So you can't get dry under a waterfall. Just when you come up for air from one thing, the next thing, much like him trying to talk right now, right? He's trying to get into the convo. Okay. You see him, and I keep going. It's hard for him. Go ahead.
Well, I also wanted to throw in there that it's not just, sometimes we get, so when we hear the word addiction, we think it's all about, substances. But
Right.
what if it's someone who's, maybe, shopping and, you can say, oh, we're not going to do that. Or it could be porn. It could be
Yeah.
some other issue. It could be just being, yeah, social media, just sitting at the table and you can't put the phone down while you're having dinner with your family and it's causing a divide. So it's really important that we recognize that it's not just substances
Right.
that are getting in the way of us having a fulfilled life. It's those non-resourceful, those addictions to other devices, other strategies, coping mechanisms.
Mhm.
So I just want to open it up so that we're really able
Yeah,
to
like this,
create a
this doesn't.
powerful life.
Yeah, this doesn't apply to me because I'm not dealing with an alcoholic or an addict, but it's all the same. Somebody being distracted and out of awareness or muted or dumbed down or unavailable, emotionally unavailable, psychologically unavailable, physically unavailable to you, that's not a relationship. Availability is the number one, you know, I'm here. I'm not trying to escape. I'm not trying to run away. I'm available to you. So, yes, absolutely, Doug. Anything that hinders your ability to be present and be fully here
Right.
with the first people that you love is an addiction. Is not working for you. It's a coping mechanism to not be present with life. And we want to rectify that, in our upcoming Freedom from Addictions seminar that's coming up. You can register for that. You're going to learn all about that, how Doug has a whole talk on being a creatures of addict, habit. So the first thing is it's still happening. And it might not be happening the same way, but the same behaviors keep coming up. Even maybe somebody has stopped using, but you can't forgive them because they're still lying, or there's still an element of manipulation, or they're still covering things or hiding things, or they're still angry, or they're still resentful, or there's still things happening. You can't get dry under a waterfall. Okay. So that's one of the reasons it's so hard to forgive, an obvious one, right? Like you can't, I'm not talking about what happened last week. I'm talking about what's happening right now, right? That's what you're trying to say. The other thing is what Doug was talking about is we feel as loved ones, as a family, hey, if we remind you, if I move on, if I forgive you, this is the fear of a family member. If I forgive you, you're going to think it's okay. And when you think it's okay, you're going to do it again. So if I show you that I'm okay and I forgive you, I'm in trouble somehow. That's not
Yeah.
protecting myself.
The old adage, give an inch, take a mile.
Right. I'll forgive you. And then all of a sudden you think all is great and better. And I don't want you to know everything's great again because it's not great again. Right. So one of the philosophies of that is when in traditional recovery, where somebody goes into meetings and they talk about the past, right? And they dredge out the past over and over again. And part of the philosophy of that is that it keeps people grounded in the reality of their addictions, right? It doesn't let them forget. It's like never forget, don't forget where you've come from. We have a bit of a different philosophy there. We want people to create a new empowering reality for themselves and a new empowering identity from themselves. So we want to move on from addiction. We want to move on from that. We want to recover from that. We don't want to have to be constantly, working through it. So there is a point that where the past, it'll be appropriate to let the past go. Like when the past is still currently affecting you, which is reason number three, there's no way you're gonna be letting it go. So, probably out of all these things, the impact that you're suffering from is the main reason. Like, they don't understand what just happened to you. That's why when somebody is a war veteran, they wanna talk about what happened over there sometimes, right? They wanna remember, like, they wanna process because nobody really gets what they've been through, and then you have people in their lives going, "Hey, you're home now, celebrate. Do, do, do," everything's fine. But it's like, it's not fine. I have shrapnel from that war I was in as a veteran, right? You are an addiction veteran, okay? Meaning you've been through this war yourself without weapons, it feels like, right? And you have gotten out of this war, but you have shrapnel, psychological shrapnel, emotional shrapnel, financial shrapnel, spiritual shrapnel, relational shrapnel, right?
A lot of shrapnel.
Right. Well, so what do we have to do? We have to first of all uncover what that shrapnel is, and you'll be able to forgive once that shrapnel, those issues are resolved. Some of those issues that have been created as a result of you dealing with an addict or alcoholic in your life, or addictions in general, period, in your life, are trust issues. You have been left with significant trust issues. What happens without trust? Tell me one thing in the world that happens without trust?
Well, you lose the foundation of the relationship, you lose presence, you lose the ability to have a vulnerable, real conversation that allows for
True
growth, for
forgiveness.
development.
You know, and part of that forgiveness is accountability, recognizing how everybody's been impacted, recognizing the fallout of everybody.
It also reminds me of, part of it is you're holding on. It reminds me of the scene from Tommy Boy. Remember Tommy Boy?
Okay.
And he was talking about a sail, but he was using a roll as the example, and he was using that as the example. "You're holding on to the sail, you're holding on to the sail so hard, so hard that you're
Sell?
squishing it."
A sell or a sale? A
A
boat
sail.
sale?
No, no, a sail, like a sail, like you're a
You're
salesperson.
sailing? Oh, you're a
A salesperson.
salesperson.
So you're holding on,
Spectrum.
yeah. Hold it on, and then you start feeding it and pushing it and all that, and we hold on to these challenges, these experiences, and then we look for someone to either hear us and appreciate it and understand,
Validate it.
but it's really hard when you're kinda going, "But you're the one who caused it,"
Right, exactly.
and then there's this whole issue. Yet, also on the flip side, this conversation is around the also understanding the person who's displaying that behavior also has some issue going on that we want to be able to address as well so that everyone can move on and be their own unique and like interdependent group.
Right?
But it's very difficult if we keep holding on to the experience, but we understand why we're doing it.
Yeah, so let's go on why else you're holding on to it. You got issues, trust issues, okay? And those are still coming up in your relationship. Intimacy issues. That all of that stuff that you've been through, the shrapnel, one of the shrapnel is intimacy issues. You've got a road back to connection that
Mhm.
sometimes forgiveness feels like, oh, they're gonna have expectations. As soon as I say I forgive you, then I'm expected. Now I'm expected to heal, be intimate. I'm expected to just move on. And all these things are lies that we tell ourselves. There is a process of recovery for you to get back to that place where you can trust, to get back to that place where you can have intimacy. There's communication issues, shrapnel that has arisen. There are self-esteem issues that have arisen with you where you've kind of forgotten like what's so lovable and wonderful about you when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't see you. They're over here and you're saying, "Well, choose me, choose me." And so it has affected you, your self-esteem, your intimacy, your trust, your emotions, your sense of self, your identity. Who have you become in this addiction, with this toxic environment?
Well, and
Who have
also you
you
get afraid
become?
to say something because you're then worried about the fallout. And then you're
Fear.
yep, then that fear shows up. And there's a saying, I don't remember the band who did this, but there was an artist, it was called the song was called Forgiven, Not
Mhm.
Forgotten.
Uh-huh.
And I think this is something that also is helpful. Like just because you've forgiven someone doesn't mean you've forgotten what had occurred. And I think that's where some illusion happens because someone goes, "Oh, you forgive me. You let it go. Everything's okay." It's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on. I'm not holding you hostage anymore, and I have not forgotten what has occurred, and my guard is up, and this is something that we need to work through and take that time." And ultimately, as we all know, is the forgiveness is about ourselves so that we're not living in the past, living in the pain, and able to move forward. It's really ultimately not about the person you're forgiving in the first place.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of ninja level, an awareness around what is forgiveness, what are the steps, how do you forgive, how do you move past? And today we're talking about why it's hard for you. Just even acknowledging there's so much to talk about just in forgiveness. It's one of our pillars of conversations that we are going to have all the time. What is it? How do you let something go? How do you release something?
How do you know
What
you've
is
forgiven?
forgiveness? How do you know? All those things are important, but you've got to start somewhere. And right now we're going to start with what's in your way of forgiving. And if you don't acknowledge what's truly in your way of forgiving, you'll believe the lie that you're just an unforgiving person, or you're just supposed to blindly forgive, or let religion or stand in your way, or you'll forgive too early when you're not ready. To effectively forgive, something, you have to effectively blame it first. I don't know if most people are aware of that, but in order to forgive anything, you have to know what you're forgiving. So there's a blame phase here of responsibility and accountability of here's the impact of your addiction on me. Here's your impact of your toxic behavior on me. But that awareness is you. So you have to know, oh, I've been impacted. Yep, trust. Foundationally, I've been impacted. I don't trust anything. I don't trust my own judgment. I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody. Okay. Intimacy. I don't want to share myself anymore. I'm hiding. I'm becoming less of who I am in this. I'm losing my identity in this whole thing. Who am I? So many areas. So, what's the very first step if this is resonating with you? Well, the first step is kind of a leap of faith. Okay. The first step isn't a little baby download a checklist. Okay. Take a little step here.
Right.
Sometimes you
If
have
you're
to
here, you
take,
already know you don't
sometimes
need the
you have
checklist.
to take a leap. Okay. You have to leap your way in. You have to take a leap of faith. And that is putting your faith in your ability to learn something new, putting your faith in your ability to show up for yourself. And we're going to ask you to do that through our Freedom from Addiction seminar. Freedom from Addictions seminar. So go to familyempowermentwarrior.com. And that is where you will be able to sign up for our next Freedom from Addictions seminar. That's the very first step. Is it a leap? Yeah. We try to make it, affordable. You're going to invest obviously your resources somewhat, right? Definitely time. It's a whole weekend that we're going to spend together. It's virtual. So anywhere in the world, and we see clients from all over the world, okay, everywhere, all the places, and virtually we can come together. Now, I know you have lots of questions. Are oh, who's going to see me? Is it you can turn it's Zoom, honey. So you know you can turn your cameras off and then turn them on. I mean, it's all don't let the fear stand in your way,
Well,
you
more
know?
importantly, what you're going to be around are people who also
Get it.
understand. So it's not, there's no shame. There's no, these are people who have been through exactly what you've been through. And our goal is to help you move past it so that you are able to forgive and forgive yourself for
Well,
getting
the
locked
stories you
into.
tell yourself,
Yeah.
I should have known this sooner. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Yes,
If only I
if
had done
only I'd
this.
done this. Yes. There's so much blame and guilt that you're going to be dealing with that needs to be restored, needs to be dealt with and uh banished where it doesn't have a place in your life.
Well, it's a paradigm shift in how you show up. You will, by the end of the weekend, what'll happen is you'll have a new lease on life. You'll be able to make new empowered decisions,
That's
make
right.
them from a place of strength and confidence, not
Right.
from
And
fear.
hopelessness.
Yeah.
Make a decision from strength and courage than from fear and hopelessness. That's what the Family Empowerment Warrior movement is about. And you know what? The acronym is FEW. And that's on purpose because we all know that few are called to lead the many. Few are called to lead the many. Are you called?
And that many is your
Your
family.
family.
It's
That
not
many is not
in
just
the
you,
world and you're
right?
going to lead
It's
minions. You're
no, it's you're going to lead. You may have to be the leader of your own life. Okay, be the leader of your family. We're calling all leaders, and because now's the time to step forward. Now's the time to become one of the few, and join us in our mission to restore the family, whatever that family is, whether it's a inherited family or an adopted family or whatever family you're in, is it all counts. Okay. So if your family's broken right now, if you're struggling and suffering in your family and you have a loved one that's left like the prodigal son, okay, and you're in fear that they're not going to come back, okay, and you want your family back, you want to restore the peace in your life, the sanity in your life, the happiness in your life, the joy in your life, the just the spectrum of emotion. You'd settle for some joy. You've been in so much sadness for so long. And so we just want to encourage you that the first step is a leap of faith. And that leap of faith is to join us for our Freedom from Addictions seminar workshop. Go to familymempowermentwarrior.com and sign up. And we'll see you live and in person, virtually.
In 1D.
We love you.
We'll see you soon.
Take excellent care.